Oh.
Hi. Hey, is there lawlessness in America and corruption in our local government? Come on, we all see each other in our good and bad days. But hey, is there lawlessness in America and corruption in our local government? Well, you know, we have 2 Bill W's that should be held very high in our society. Because for one, we had the Bill W in regards to alcoholism. The court has now recognized what that Bill W has done to help people to understand alcoholism. They've set up programs, treatments. Now we also have a Bill W that's going out from state to state, interviewing people for lawless in America to show that there is corruption in our local government, in our local legislation. I believe Bill W has 2 thumbs up for me. Bill W is showing that there is corruption, as I will June 5th of 2013 in Boise, Idaho. I will go before the Idaho Supreme Court. Sorry, this is, you know, this ain't a funny matter.
It's not funny,
but you know, for her to be seen like this, I gotta let her know that, hey, this was a surprise for her. Here, you don't need to see our roof because we can't really get it fixed right yet. But hey, there's lawless out there. And me, Elaine and I will be before the Supreme Court with documents to show that Bill's work needs to be recognized. Because I will prove that there's lawless in America and the corruption that goes with the lawless that we have in our society. It's unreal how local legislation and their agencies just take so much advantage of people that don't really understand how everything works. You know, I looked death in the face for 10 minutes and fought for my life. The Idaho State Industrial Commission, because I caught the state insurance fund prior to the hiring of Lynn Luker, who is a legislator, who now I believe over time, because this all happened over time, it just didn't happen overnight. And what they have put me through. And if the Supreme Court would look at my record and my filing as a whole, they will understand. There, baby, I hit your face.
Oh, thank you.
There, now you look like that guy on that one program where he always looks over the fence. But anyway, you know, I would really like to see Bill come and maybe view my oral argument before the Supreme Court, because it's going to be a powerful statement. Because Idaho needs to step up for this injured worker and back their lies. I mean, yes, is there judicial rules and things that need to be followed? Or things need to be filed under this because now they have sole. But you see, as they put in their brief before the Supreme Court, should have Mr. Donahue stepped down due to his conflict during the case, like before Lynn Luker was hired, 2 years into my, you know. And that's another thing. I have to file a motion, and I will come Monday. Lynn Luker, as you emailed me, finally. But I'm not supposed to be able to email file anything. But when I emailed it, then how did you find out about it? Because you responded to that email. But I can't file that way. So obviously you were contacted. Finally. Is it because of what I'm doing here? And then you make a comment like you did, like about 7 words, and that's all you're going to leave it at? Lynn Luker, I want you to come before the Supreme Court. I want you, a legislator who runs government and legislation, and the Judicial Committee. And who are the Judicial? The Idaho State Industrial Commission. And when I hired you, Lynn Luker, and you knew about what they were doing, and allowing the state insurance fund to get away with? And then you don't bring anything up about my Social Security disability that clearly, you, Mr. Luker, did file on. Because you see, prove anything that I have put in any of my videos to be a lie. And then you, the commission, make a statement, or if documents exist. Well, Mr. Baskiner, chairman of the Industrial Commission, whose name is on the brief of response to the appellant to the Supreme Court. So again, I'm a little confused, and I can't get that confusion out of my mind why the state insurance fund is going to speak at oral argument. Because I want the commission to come forward and produce evidence, since they did their own findings of facts. The three commissioners did their own findings of facts and still found no reason to disturb. And then you want to also put in your writing a brief about how he made statements, and then he's making it to where I have made, what the hell is this? And then we have Miss Rachel O'Barr, prohibited. Pro se communication is prohibited. What was that 152 pages that I tried to fax on July 31st of 2012? Wasn't that 152 our phone conversations? Because it was going to show. Is that what they mean by augmented records? To disappear like a fart in the wind is about what you're trying to do? Because I'm putting it together just now that I'm still working. Every day I get up and put my feet on the ground. It's a new day. It's not a new day of my life to try to overcome this. It's a new day of the living hell I have to fight with you guys. What the fuck have I done? Do I have a lot of anger? You bet I do. I have every right to have this anger. Because I want the Idaho Supreme Court to promise me, if I send a document, that clearly, because isn't that what I'm doing right now, is oral argument. What can and cannot be produced before the Idaho Supreme Court for hearing. Is that right? Because if that's right, then isn't that what you all, the commission, denied me to do when the state insurance fund committed the fraud on August 1st, August 7th, and August 11th of 2008? But you found that the commission, or the Industrial Commission, did everything that they were supposed to do, make sure that when they received private health records, they protected those private health records and made sure everything was put in place so things aren't put out there. Are you saying that you did that? I'm staking my whole life that you didn't. Because if you all get away and allowed to do what you all are doing, because it is just me, which ain't even supposed to really have made it to the Idaho Supreme Court, an oral argument on my own, let alone an attorney. So, but I am on my own. Because there is lawlessness in America and corruption in our local government. Come and support me in Elaine, in Boise, Idaho. Support Bill W., who's out there showing out of his own pocket, as I am having to do, that there is lawlessness in America and that there is corruption in our local government. And that we should hold these people accountable for their actions, as in the accountability action. Hold these people accountable for their actions. Pass that Accountability Act. It needs to. Hold these people accountable for the actions when they try to lie before the Industrial Commission, saying that they can't get these health records. But then in fact, they had them and sent them out. And now in their briefs before the Supreme Court, Mr. Baskin, chairman of the Industrial Commission, if these documents do exist, Well, I am on Monday going to file a motion that I do have a document that I'd like to present, but I want to know how it can be protected, just like it should have been through the Industrial Commission. So, and that's where we're at, man. We're still sitting here trying to figure out how we're going to do this. It's hard, man. Financially, it's broke us, man. Everything I say is verifiable. Verifiable. You know what verifiable means? As I didn't know what no contest meant because I was ignorant of the reading, because at that time I didn't know how to read. So I take it upon an attorney to tell me what it means, and then to find out later what it really meant. I vowed to myself that I would never, ever let that happen to me again in my life. Ever. I did go to prison. They proved that. But what did I do there? I learned how to read. So I educated myself. Did I work at 100 jobs in a lifetime? It showed. Sure I did. They showed that. So it showed that I wasn't a workaholic. Yeah, I was a workaholic. 100 jobs in a lifetime, that's quite a few jobs. Did I work through temp services? You bet I did. My whole life. Prior to the marriage of my marriages and after my marriages. And matter of fact, up to my one marriage and up to the day of my injury. Because isn't it a fact that I also worked there once before the Idaho State Insurance Fund? And isn't it a fact that I have been hurt through your insurance company once before, but I wasn't aware of it? Because I worked for a temp service that you all insure? How come you guys didn't talk about that injury? Because I was hit in the back with a 4,000-pound cage, knocked 5 to 6 feet, with my back the way it was back in 1988, and how you guys talk about it in the filings. And 3 days later, I go to my doctor and say, "Hey, I'm ready to go back, man. I got to go back. I got to make a living now." And it is a fact that I could show from since I was 15. Oh, but your people that say about the work that I worked periodically. But isn't it a fact that, you know, I want to have a fact, isn't it a fact that from the age of 15 until the date of my injury, though I spent 5 years in prison on a 5-year sentence, I have only 2 years in those years that I cannot produce, what do they call it, income. So did my prison record have an issue? I didn't think so. Because obviously I was working somewhere along the line. So, because I didn't let it bother me because I spent it in time. So when I got out, I must have went right to work. Because I knew how to go make a living. I go right to the temp services. Because I had to learn how to do those because I didn't know how to read. So I relied on them all my life. And I can prove it. But I can't rely on them now. I cannot rely on a temp service to put me to work. And you all say that there's jobs out there for me. The way that I knew how to make a living. The way that I knew how to find work. You show me where I could be put on the front line. As I was, pretty much. Because you got to let people know who you are. But you can't rely on what people write down as first-time reader. Impression of a first-time reader. That means, for me, you can't take what you read, because even though it sounds pretty good. You cannot take what is written down as the truth, man. You need, and you have to read it as a whole and know the whole story. And not something that has been put down as a fairy tale story. of my life for first-time impression readers. You want to know about my life? Then allow me to come before the Supreme Court. And I want the Supreme Court to know the whole story of the 5 years of living hell I've been put through. Not just by the now, why? Why? Why all of these messed up statements, but there supposedly be nothing? Bullshit. These statements are put in there for a reason. Just like Lynn Luker. He put a lien on me. So what does the Industrial Commission have to do? They have to justify to allow him to be removed. That's what they had to do. They had to justify a reason. And since they want to put in Roger Brown because they didn't think I had some document from Roger Brown stating that I didn't fire him or his firm. But again, as I have tried, I thought that you, the Supreme Court, have been reading already. Because again, I'm ignorant to it all. But I guess whatever I've been filing, you all ain't been seeing yet. Especially when it came down to this last issue for my stay of all proceedings that happened. Now I really don't know who to file my paperwork to. Because this paperwork came from the Supreme Court, supposedly. But it just said in my email, like it was nothing, like another piece of email that I just happened to look at that defining moment in time and realize what the hell it was. Why was that not mailed to me? A letter mailed to me. But when I found out about it, oh yeah, Miss Rachel O'Barr, again, and your firm that was involved in those two documents of medical. Isn't it a fact that I signed records twice for you all? I did finally sign the ones that y'all sent to me on August 15th of 2008. Oh, did I say August 15th? But you did receive those medical records prior to August 15th, wasn't it? But anyway, fuck, I wanted to point that out. Where was I?
Your medical records. Then you started talking about...
Oh, well, anyway. There's a lot here, man.
Yeah,
but anyway,
so much.
She's so...
I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, hey. Because it's really hard to believe. Because that's not what she came in here for. I came here to move forward, to wait for the Industrial Commission's findings of fact that's already taken them a year to make a decision on. But then 3 days after I move over here, they served me with their findings of facts and conclusions of law. That I just now also found out that there's 2 findings of facts and conclusions of law that have been filed because there's also been 2 briefs filed before the Supreme Court. So I'm trying to figure out where that comes into play. But trust me, it comes into play somewhere. But I have to try to prove to the Idaho Supreme Court what I need to be done has to be done. And why? But it is so overwhelming of documents that I thought the only way that I can do this is to bring almost everything that I have in my possession. Because do I have everything yet? No, but do I have a lot? Yes. Because the rest of the stuff is only in a storage unit that I'm behind on, and I just can't get into it. But because I'm just rotten ass person, these people want me to be made out to be. This person that's been through this from day one with me, he's still working with me. So I don't lose everything that I have. A personal, like the things of my kids that I had, that I have, all of my pictures that they've never seen because, I just found them prior to the accident. You see, a lot of things. These people help me. Even the person where I stayed with my RV trailer after I had to move out of my apartment. And even after I went up into the hills for the 3 months, Mr. Luker. And then when I came back, it's, that's when you guys found me to video me, because you guys couldn't find me before. But wasn't it, I was up in the hills because I had to collect, because Lynn Luker just put together a 26-year life expectancy thing that I had at that time was kind of, chuckle about, oh, geez, it's kind of nice to know that I've only got 26 years to live. But in reality, when that started hitting me in the manner that it did, I started looking at it in a different way, man. I mean, they're saying that I can no longer work, man, and I've already I'm trying to accept that already. So let's bring it to an end. We have Bill W. that helped us bring forward the nobodies to somebodies to show that alcohol is fine to help people. We have Bill W., Bill Winslow, and Lawless of America, showing that there is corruption in our local government and local legislation. Isn't that right, Mr. Luker? When you came, after hearing what I had told you about what the Idaho State Insurance Fund was doing in response to a complaint, did I hire you on my complaint? Isn't that what I really came and talked to you about? The fraud that had been committed, how they had received my private health records, how they lied to the Industrial Commission, and then I found out about it. Now, Lynn Luker, do you really truly believe that I hired you without telling you any of this, when it's in the records for 2 years prior to hiring you, that wasn't my issue? Isn't it a fact that you turned around after I hired you and not knowing that you tweaked my damn fucking complaint around, you punk? And I have to come before the Supreme Court and prove that? You punk. You're nothing but a 3-time quitter. And you know what? Prove me wrong. Prove what I just called you slander, buddy. To me, in my opinion, you're a punk. You quit 3 times on me. You punk. Punk! Am I angry? I have every right to be angry. So, but I have to come before the Supreme Court, which I will. You know, because I don't believe that I will just be speaking for myself. I will be speaking for everyone that's ever had corruption committed by them or on them by their fucking local legislation. Well, now I wish I can somehow bleep that out, but I can't. And I ain't going to redo this whole thing just because of that one word. But you know, the Accountability Act. Yeah. The Accountability Act. These people need to be held accountable because they're saying that they're not accountable for their actions. And what I'm going to prove, because I have a lot on the line here. I have my 3 kids, one that's sitting right now that I still have not seen because of your continual refusal to bring this to an end. You know, it's going to come to an end, man. I'm going to come before the Idaho Supreme Court if it's the last thing I do. I'm going to show that there's corruption. And Lynn Luker, come next year at your legislation, this face you will never forget because I will be there to let people know what kind of a legislator they have in Congress. And isn't freedom of speech? But you see, my freedom of speech, you can't get me or even attack me on slander on that. Because it isn't a fact. You are a 3-time quitter on me. An injured worker who looked death in the face for 10 minutes. You stick your arm through that machine and allow it to start sucking you into it and seeing if your head doesn't go in there next. And knowing if your head does. And then to know you just found your kids. Why is this happening? And you guys, you're doctors. I've seen once in a lifetime want to make their little fraudulent ass statements. Yes, I'm angry. I have every right to be. You didn't see me over there in the office of Miss Sandy Basket, did you? No, you didn't. Matter of fact, doesn't she work in the unemployment office where I am not entitled to enter without being arrested by your letter, Mindy Montgomery, director of the Idaho State Industrial Commission? Did you not write me a letter and tell me if I enter any building that the Industrial Commission has space in, I will be arrested Isn't it a fact that the Industrial Commission has a space in every Idaho unemployment office? Yeah, the Idaho State Industrial Commission. Any building that they occupy is the way that you worded it. So again, did I ever go into their office with my anger because of what she was involved with to put me back to work, which is part of the malice intent to put my life in danger again? It's overwhelming. But isn't it a fact that in the real filings, I've stated it all already, prior to the hiring of Lynn Luger? Come and support Elaine and I. Support Bill W., Bill Winsler, in Lawless America. Let's show together that there is corruption in Idaho legislation and in our local government, and how the Accountability Act needs to be put in place so we can hold these people accountable for their actions. This is Elaine Kerr, James Clark. Hope to see you June 14, 2013 in Boise, Idaho at my oral argument. And Bill Winsler, Bill W. for Idaho, for Lawless in America, corruption in our local government. I would also hope that maybe you can make there to film the corruption. I missed you when you were there before because I was fighting them. I couldn't be there because I'm learning the computer. I'm learning all of this. It's all new to me. You know, if I take any time away as something like that, you know, I'm having to learn. And if I would have been up there, I wouldn't have learned some of the things that I did that I'm able to argue on. But right now is the defining moment in time. This is it. Bill W. for Lawless in America. If there's ever a video that you would want to put together to show the corruption and lawless in America and in our legislation and how rules, laws, and acts need to be changed, and to have something in place as the Accountability Act, and for the support of Miss Rose, who been a, you know, I don't know, but you know, I do believe in Bill W. for Lawless in America, because he is going to take those nobodies and he's going to show that we are somebodies, and we as a whole is going to show that there's corruption in Idaho and in any United States government, agency, or government. See you all then.